Good afternoon. This is Spirit Journey. Today is February 21st, 2019, and it is Thursday, 2:56 p.m. I learned of the final info on Jussie Smollett just maybe 15 minutes ago. Earlier today, I did a video about him. I just really learned of the incident with the actor named Smollett. And happily, he got arrested. So I want to share a clip from the Today News and share you their account on Jussie Smollett's arrest.
Jussie Smollett in custody and under arrest just minutes ago. Police released his mugshot. Here it is. In just a short time from now, he'll be in front of a judge for a bond hearing. Investigators say he is no victim and that his story is now unraveling. From alleged victim to suspected criminal, today Jussie Smollett faces a felony charge of disorderly conduct after detectives in Chicago say he filed a false police report. The bombshell turn of events comes 3 weeks after Smollett told investigators he was the victim of a race-based homophobic hate crime.
They called me a. They called me. There's no which way you cut it.
The two men who police say staged the attack testified for 2.5 hours before a grand jury Wednesday. Ola and Abel Osundairo, who were first identified in this surveillance photo, knew Smollett from his hit show Empire, but after their arrest, began cooperating with police. They do not face charges.
Okay, so now I'm going to begin with my original content. I just feel that now that we know that he was arrested, Mr. Smollett, and so now I'm going to proceed with my original content on my thoughts about him and his it was very suspect what he claimed.
Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. I want to talk about an actor. I never heard of his name before, by the name Jussie Smollett, something like that. He plays in the TV show Empire. I've never seen the show. I've never heard of him. I think, maybe 4 days ago, there was something in passing that I saw, some investigation, but I had no idea what they were talking about at the time. But my going through YouTube in an unrelated video, his name was mentioned, and I was wondering who this other person is, because they said that this guy Jussie, so I didn't understand what his last name was. So I keyed in the name, and then there was a series of names. I said, oh, he must have said this name, and then that's how I really found out about him. But it's about a young black guy who's an actor in that TV series. And he gave what seems apparent a false narrative. And I'm very, very angry with him. Again, I did not know who he was prior to this incident. but he leaves a bad taste in my mouth for several reasons. For one, my growing up, I was born in the 1960s, the early 60s, and in the early 80s, that's when I came of age and got my first job and in the so-called real world, and I was exposed to biasness in the job market. Some of the comments that I heard in my presence, I was very uncomfortable, and racism was an issue. Again, that's almost 40 years ago. But 40 years ago, almost 40 years ago, is just that, almost 40 years ago. And yes, I was in the U.S. military, and yes, there were things that happened to me of a sexist and racist nature. But fast forward, it's 2019, and I don't know, I don't understand what's going on. Why is it that you have members of the black community who are targeting black people or are using race? Now they're using what they call orientation. That's just another word for homosexuality. And getting the larger black community, straight black community, in trouble, or putting stigma on us. That's what I'm angry at. So this person at 2:00 in the morning, he wants to go outside for a sandwich. Okay. Now I'm sure he has enough money to order out and have them deliver the food to his place. I'm sure he has more than $1 on him, But he goes out at 2:00 in the morning, and he gets assaulted. Now I don't know why. For one thing, I don't know any people, especially American blacks, who are hungry for a sandwich in sub-zero temperatures. I don't know. I don't care how hungry you are, to go out at 2:00, early morning hours, 2:00 in the morning, to get a sandwich. And then conveniently someone recognizes you because they say, "Hey, Empire." So I'm not sure whether they came from behind him, or what do they say? See, were they in front of him when they said that? But either way, they said, "Hey, Empire," and then they used some epithets, racial epithets at him, and gay slurs at him, and then they roughed him up, and then the police were called. It just, Chicago, this incident happened in Chicago. Now, there's a lot of black people in Chicago. And for these alleged attackers to say mega country, not in Chicago. I don't know about that. I've been to Chicago before, many times when I was in the military. Because our school in the Navy, A school, was in Great Lakes, Illinois, and so you just take the train over to Chicago. So my weekends free, I went there to Chicago from Great Lakes, Illinois. It's a big, Chicago's a big place, and you have a lot of black people. So, but that's the narrative. And then about having a noose being put on his neck. and then pouring bleach on him. Now, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. And then it turns out now that he knows the guys that roughed him up, that they were extras in the TV show that he works at, and that they are on social media. So it seems like a hoax, something staged. And then the guy didn't want to give his phone to the cops, because he said that he was on the phone when the attack took place. And then when the cops wanted to talk to him, oh, you have to, oh, I don't want you to make a scene. Oh, you have to turn off your what do you call it, your body cam. Why would you say that after an attack? Because he wants to hide something. What does he want to hide? What can a camera show? A camera can show your expression, whether you look believable or not, your story as you're recounting what the narrative, what happened. See, a liar wants to always cover themselves, want to cloak themselves, and so what way to cloak? Well, don't have those cameras on you, giving the interview to the cops or detective, and your cell phone. Not have your, not giving your cell phone, because then it could verify if you were on the phone at the time, who you were talking to, etc. Then it turns out that he deleted some information that was on the phone, and so when he did eventually give to the cops his cell phone, and then the cops compared what was on his phone, the log that was on his phone versus the phone carrier and their printout of information who he was in contact with. And so they were wondering, okay, they're not the same. What was the things that he deleted? And so that's what the focus was. My other concern is that he, about his orientation. Now, he could be what he want to be. It's his business if he wants to be a homosexual. Okay, that's his business. But what I'm angry is that he's going to use a 2-for-1. He's going to have mainstream black people rally for him because he's a black man that was attacked by a MAGA wearing person, Make America Great Again hat and follower. So it's like teaching to hate Trump or to hate white people because alleged white person beat him up and said racial slurs about him being black and gay. Okay, so that's a 2-for-1. But the focus is really against white people and Trump, and then having the black community to rally for him, and you have some black celebrities who spoke on his behalf because they believed him. Who would think that someone would lie about something like that, and especially someone who's in the media, who is on television? You wouldn't think that someone would lie about that this day and age. But it seems like that's what happened. So I don't condemn other blacks initially, want to rally for him. They weren't in on it. But you don't have, what I did not see was any gay people rallying for him. You know what I'm saying? But you had American blacks, blacks that are rallying for him. And we ran with the story. What I think, I don't know why, why he felt he had to do this. But one thing at least what I feel, is that there is an agenda. Some may call it the leftist agenda, whether left, right, or in the middle. Those are all labels. But what I think is that there is a greater agenda, and that you have people who are using blacks for their agenda to promote the LGBTQ community, and using social history that happened against blacks in the past, the lynching, the name calling, all that, and now they're borrowing that and now attaching LGBTQ, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer community. And they're using us to to promote their agenda. How dare that guy, that Jussie fellow, to do something like that. It's hard enough for straight blacks to get around in America. And some of us, what they would say, old school, people from the 50s, 60s, 70s, the year, growing up in America. But now they want to push this new agenda, the homosexual agenda. And now they're borrowing black people to be their mouthpiece to promote their agenda. It's hard enough. It's hard enough for straight black people. It's hard that you're being overlooked in jobs, and then you have the black on black crime that's prevalent in Chicago. So what about those people in Chicago who are murdered by people from their own communities, whether it's gang related or robbery, who are afraid to go outside, and the police aren't helping them, and people are living in fear? And then you get this guy who's a member of the LGBTQ community, and he's being heard. What about all those other people, innocent black people, who are not being heard in all the police hours of investigation to protect his interests, and then to find out that he probably lied about the whole thing, and that he knew the alleged white people who beat him up? These guys were black Nigerians. Well, excuse me, they're American born, but they're families from Nigeria, and that right after the attack, those two, they're brothers, siblings, and they went back to Nigeria the day of the attack, and then now they're back in the States. See, it gets uglier and uglier that we want to create a narrative, and using the history, what happened to blacks in the past, we want to move forward. I know I want to move forward in life. I cannot change my past, the things that happened to me. And you know that you have whites who are being attacked too for just being white. And I don't agree with things like that. I don't think anyone should be attacking anybody. Where racism is, expose it. Where hatred is, expose it. But to try to paint a narrative and make that a particular group, that all white people are evil, that's not true. There are black people who do evil things too. And I made mention in my video when I was being thugged by two young black women. I forget what day of the week it was, but I went to visit family. And I just couldn't believe their attitude. I just went with the flow. I just didn't engage in them and just moved over. I didn't want any engagement, any challenge, I should say. I didn't want to challenge them. I just kept on what I was reading at the time. I had my cell phone. I was reading a book, an ebook. And I just something in me said, don't engage in them. Don't try to challenge them, because that's what they want, because they want to try to do a fight. Here, that 2 against 1. I'm a middle-aged woman. And these people, they could have been in their late 20s, early 30s. I'm in my 50s. And the anger that I felt. And when I did the video right after the incident, yes, I had some black people said that I was cooning. No, I was just exposing what it was. Why would you do that? Why cry wolf about how evil white people are, and then you're bullying a middle-aged black woman who's minding her business, reading in the train. And then a couple of months later, I'm with a relative. It was on 42nd Street in Manhattan, right by the F train. And it's a big, very wide sidewalk, because there's a lot, it's busy strip. And these 2 black thugs walked up to us. Now we're talking. We're me and my family member are facing each other, talking. We're standing very close to each other, and then they walk up perpendicular to us, to our side, and one was behind the other, and he walks up and he stands maybe 6 to 8 inches away from my family member, like he's eyeballing him. And then we both look, me and my family member look up at him, wondering what's going on. And I felt the creeps about this fellow. And then my family member stood his ground. No words were ever said, but it was the same type of thing. A thugging. And then they turned away and walked down the subway stairs. I think if I weren't there, they would have jumped him in broad daylight in front of all these white people and tourists. That area has a lot of tourists. Look at that. You don't even have to go to Chicago. You could go right here in New York City and experience black on black crime. And now the LGBTQ community trying to push the agenda, just like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is not a black organization about mainstream black people. It's a homosexual organization, mostly women. And when you look in their website, only one black man, young black guy, on their website. All the rest women. Yet the organization was allegedly promoted because of all the killing of the black men. Okay? But yeah, you're going to start an organization and it's virtually exclude who you're supposed to be for. But it's using the plight of the straight black community, primarily, mainstream black Americans, and then you attach to it for credibility, like you're really being persecuted, and you're all about the homosexual agenda. That's what I'm against. I'm against people piggybacking off of mainstream straight black people? Why can't they just form their own organization and be upfront about it? That you are a promoter of gay rights, homosexual rights. See, at least I could respect you for that. You could be what you want to be, your sexual orientation. That's your business. And you should not be persecuted for having a sexual preference for an adult of the same gender. Okay? But you're using us and you're trying to instigate a race riot. But behind the scenes, you're just trying to promote laws so they can issue out new laws for really protecting your rights. And you're using black people for your gay agenda. So I don't respect you for that. I don't respect you. I don't respect that. It's so evil. And here, what if somebody, an angry black person, then target a white person and say, oh, you beat up so-and-so, so I'm going to kill these white people. That could have happened. People are snapping right now because of this stress. And it's all an orchestration. There are legitimate people who have legitimate complaints of discrimination. And you're making it synonymous that Trump was behind it. And the red hat. And the MAGA. So you're relying on people's hatred against Trump. See, it's your prerogative whether you like Trump or not. But to falsify and rely on the sentiment that some people have against him to promote your agenda, but yet, in the end, who gets hurt? But innocent, the innocent of the black non-homosexual community, who basically are who want to obey the laws of the land. They just want to work, pay their bills, enjoy their families. But now you're perverting our community. You're running to our community for your help. And again, I didn't see any homosexuals rally on your side, but black people did rally on your side. I hope this fellow, this coward, this real criminal, I hope that when the investigation is complete, because I understand that he may be getting arrested or something, he may be indicted. I hope what that so-called white prejudice person would have gotten for this bias crime for gay and black. So if he didn't get arrested for being black, then the person would have been arrested for the gay slur, right? Gay bashing. I hope that what that alleged white racist would have gotten for this bias crime, I hope you get that penalty. So if it would have been 20 years, I hope you get the 20 years and some. You're a coward. I don't even like him. I don't even know him, but I don't even like him. Yeah, leave our community alone. And leave white people alone. You disgust me. So that's my thoughts regarding this parasite. Yeah, I'm angry. I'm very angry. So let me know what your comments are. And I really hope that justice for the black and white community, the innocent black and white communities who just want to live and enjoy life. I hope this fellow gets his just desserts. Okay? Signing off. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.